Well, I've noticed that you guys seem to really like my Evo Wars videos, so I thought, why not make my own version of the game? I'm gonna be using a program called Scratch, and I made a few games there before, but nothing too fancy. So, well, let's hop right in. Okay, we're here. I just started a brand new Scratch project, and well, let's start making the player character. Okay, the base of the character is done now. I'm just going to go with something simple like this. Well, let's start with the first code. Like always, when the flag is clicked. And I intend to make more levels, so let's just make sure it's level 1 when we start the game. And also that it starts in the middle. So let's also shrink this a bit, because I think it's a little too big, and let's place him in the middle of the sprite. And now we need a forever loop, because the things in here is going to happen all the time. So we always want our player, like in the original game, to point towards the mouse and also go towards the mouse. Yes, it now follows the mouse perfectly. And we also want the character to move, so let's put this in. And now it follows the mouse, and well, it's moving very quickly, so we'll have to lower the amount of steps. Also 3.5 should be good. Yeah, this looks a lot better and smoother. Now let's find a weapon for the character. It seems like they have no pre-made weapons, so I'll have to paint my own. So let's start with the code for the sword. When we start the game, we want the sword to follow the player, and we also want to put that forever. Now it follows us, but as you can see it looks very weird, so we'll have to fix the angle of the sword. And there we have our player character and a sword. Looks good. But we also want the sword to move when we press the mouse, so let's grab a if then and a mouse down block, so it looks like we actually swinging the sword. So let's make another costume for the sword where the sword is tinted a bit to make it look like we're attacking. Okay, I'm done with that now. So when the mouse is done, we wanted to switch to the costume where it's attacking. And then we of course wanted to switch back to the normal, so let's have it wait 0.3 seconds and then switch back to normal. Yes, this looks much better. And now we have a working sword, and the next step is to make the enemies. Okay, I'm done with the enemies now, and I think they turned out pretty good. So let's make them actually do something now. Let's grab if the flag is clicked, and then we want them to wait 1 second when we start, and then create a clone of themselves, since we want to have many enemies at once and not just one showing all the time. And when they start as a clone, we want them to always move. Let's say 4 steps should be enough. But we also want them to move towards the player, so we'll have to make them point towards us. And let's just make the original sprite hide when we click the flag. And of course the clones will have to show. And now they are following us and pointing towards us. But I want them to come from the sides when we start. So let's drag a go to block and let's make it pick random between some coordinates to make all the enemies spawn in different locations. Okay, let's try it out. And yes, they spawn. This first one spawns right up there. And let's see where the second one spawns. Oh, I forgot to put a forever block in the enemies, so let's put that in. And now it should work. So the first one spawns up there and the second one down there, so perfect. But as you can see, we can't actually kill the enemies yet, so let's put a if then block in the enemies. And if they are touching the sword, we want them to disappear. And we only want them to disappear if we're actually attacking. So let's make that possible by making an attack variable for the sword. Let's name it attacking ? to make it more clear. And let's make sure to make it for all sprites, since it's involving the enemies as well. So when we start, we want to put attacking to no. And when it switches to costume, we want it to put it to yes, because that's when we're actually attacking. And then switch it back to no. So that works, and let's now make it so the enemies disappear when it's set to yes. So let's grab a and block, and if attacking equals to yes, they should delete this clone. So let's try it out. And yes, when we attack them, they disappear. Perfect. Okay, now I'm just gonna make a quick backdrop so it's not all white. So well, now it's looking much better when we actually play. And now I'm also going to create a new enemy since it's a bit boring to only have one type. So I'm gonna duplicate the code for the first one. And let's design this in a different way. Well, what's the point of having two enemies if they look the same? Okay, I'm done with the second enemy and I think it turned out great. And since we duplicated the code, they work just as the first enemies, so now it's double the amount of enemies. But I want to try to put these enemies on the other side, so let's put a minus before the X coordinate to make them appear on the other side. And let's see if it works. Yes, they now appear on the left side and the first enemy is on the right. So now I wanted to make it random which side the enemies appear in, since it's a bit boring to only have one type coming from one side of the screen. So let's make a variable and call it left or right. Okay, a bunch of boring code later and now it works. So it's a complete random where they spawn and from which direction they come. Everything works now. So let's now make it so we actually die when they hit us. So let's make a variable and call it health. And when we start, we want us to only have 1 HP like in the original game. And then if we're touching either of the enemies, we want to reduce the HP by -1. And then if health equals to 0, which is gonna do when we get hit, we want to stop the game. So let's try it out. Let's kill these guys. And when they touch us, the game freezes. Nice. Okay, so this is what the final game looks like. I might do a part 2 if this video gets enough views and attention. Well, comment if you'd like a part 2 and also tell me what you want me to add to the game. I have published the game on Steam and it's called Evo Wars 2.0, so if you wanna try it, please do and leave a comment on the scratch page. And also if you wanna see the code like completely, since I didn't show it all in this video, you can also go and see that if you're interested. So well, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you next time.